Hello, my name is Romina Ojeda, and I'm going to talk about Chapter 2, DEIXIS and Distance. DEIXIS is a technical term for one of the most basic things we do with utterances, which means pointing via language. Any linguistic form used to accomplish this pointing is called a deictic expression or indexicals. Deictic expressions depend on the speaker and hearer sharing the same spatial context in face-to-face spoken interaction. So we call the deictic center to the speaker's location. All the terms near a speaker are called proximal terms. For example, this, here, and now. And all the terms away from speaker are called distal terms. For instance, that, there, and then. As you can see, these terms are defined in relation to the deictic center. Draw attention to the fact that the central person is the speaker. The central time is the time of utterance production, and the central place is the speaker's location at utterance time. Deictic expressions fall into three categories. Person deicsis, which refers to any expression used to point to a person. For example, me, you, him. Temporal deicsis are words used to point to a time. For example, now, then, tonight, last week, this year. And space deicsis are words used to point to a location. For example, here, there. By way of illustration, listen please the audio that follows.
Excuse me, we're trying to get to Rockefeller Center. Is it far from here?
No, it's not far.
Do we have to take a taxi?
No, you don't need a cab. You can walk there from here. You just go down this street and turn left on 5th Avenue.
5th Avenue. Okay. How long will it take to walk there?
Oh, not long at all. It's only about 20 minutes.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Subsequently, we analyze examples of different types of indexicals throughout this audio. One important point to consider is person deicsis dealing with the grammatical person within an utterance. This is shown by the expression, hey, excuse me. This expression not only allows us to highlight the pronoun me, but also the special address form hey. The pronoun me refers to the speaker who is the person directly involved, and hey is a special address form for an independent speech act called vocative summon. In addition, it should be noted that there are examples of the use of the pronoun we. We are trying to get to Rockefeller Center. Do we have to take a taxi? These examples reflect a clear distinction of we exclusion because they point to those who are not directly involved. That means those who hear the utterance but who are not being directly addressed. Another important point to consider is space DEIXIS. As you can hear, there is a basic distinction between things near or away from the speaker. Take, for instance, the moment when the policeman indicates the tourist that he doesn't need a taxi to get to Rockefeller Center. He says, "You can walk there from here." This example implies psychological distance because both terms are defined in relation to the policeman, who marks how close and distant the place is perceived to be. Let's consider the verb of motion on the utterance. You just go down the street and turn left on 5th Avenue. Certainly, the verb go down retain a deictic sense because it is used to mark movement away from the speaker. The following is an example of temporal DEIXIS. Now and then are expressions used to point to a time. Although the distal term then applies to both past and future time relative to the speaker's present time, it indicates past time in this case. The proximal term now indicates both the time coincident with the speaker's utterance and the time of the speaker's voice being heard. As you can see in this example, the action is going on. It is worth bearing in mind that all deictic expressions depend on knowing the relevant utterance time. That means the time the utterance was made and the time the utterance is heard or read. Here we have another example. The choice of verb tense expresses temporal DEIXIS. They watch television every evening. Present tense is proximal, but the other example in past simple show us this distal temporal DEIXIS. Okay. Let's see the other example. I'm playing tennis tomorrow. Here, the psychological basis of temporal DEIXIS is similar to that of spatial DEIXIS. Temporal events can be treated as objects that move towards towards or away from us, as the example. Yeah. At least, but not less important, The basic distinction for person, spatial, and temporal deixis can be seen in English grammar are presented in direct and indirect speech. For example, are you planning to be here this evening? Here we can see the person deixis, you, the spatial deixis here, and the temporal deixis this evening. The next example, I asked her if she was planning to be there that evening. This example is show us indirect speech and reflect the person deixis she, the spatial deixis there, and the temporal deixis that evening.